Today I'm reviewing this little piece of gaming tech, the Anbernic RG35XX. But before you can understand my excitement over this device, you need a short backstory. When I was in 3rd grade, my buddy Austin owned a pocket TV. Yeah, a TV that fits in your pocket. It had a 2.5-inch black and white screen and a telescoping antenna that was almost as long as we were tall. It mostly just picked up static, but one day he brought it on a field trip, and as we sat on the school bus, we thought we were living in the future. Holding this device in my hand now, I realize just how wrong we were, because this plays a lot more than static. Let's get into it. Anbernic has been around for a few years now, making a name for themselves by creating some of the best handheld emulators on the market. The RG35XX or XX is one of their latest. It harkens back to the days of the Nintendo Game Boy with its gray plastic shell and its vertical design, but the tech in here is way beyond anything the Game Boy ever hoped to do. The 3.5-inch IPS screen is honestly quite gorgeous in how it displays games from the 16 different consoles represented here. It comes with over 5,000 games, in fact. It's quite staggering. Of course, this is best suited to the 8 and 16-bit generations of games, and in that arena, it is a powerhouse. Every game I've tried plays and feels exactly like I remember. Everything from Super Mario Bros. 3 to Punch-Out to Turtles in Time to Cyber Stadium Series Base Wars. There's a deep cut for you. Has anyone other than me ever played Base Wars? I've never met a single person who has. Seriously, please, meet me in the comments if you remember that game. It is brutally hard. Those robots, they cheat. They cheat! Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about the build quality. I do love the screen, it's great, and I love that they include a screen protector in the box. It also seems rather good. The total package here is very lightweight. That's great for portability and longer play sessions. However, I do wonder about the durability of this plastic shell, especially after it's been thrown into a backpack a few times and dropped a few times more than that. The shell does feel like it could crack, but I don't think it'll be a problem if you take care of your device. And I do like the textured feel of it in the hand. Basically, I think it could just feel a little more solid. But at this price point, I really can't complain. The face buttons, they feel fantastic. Honestly, I wouldn't change a thing about those. The menu button, however, it does feel a little loose, a little wobbly. I feel like your kids could just snap this right off if they tried. So I'd like to see a button that isn't as raised in a future iteration, maybe fits a little better. But you won't be using that for gameplay, so it won't affect anything there. If you're an audiophile, you might be interested in this single speaker right here in the corner. It has no bass whatsoever. Honestly, the frequency range on here is probably about 500 Hz to maybe 9,000 kilohertz. It does not sound as good as even more compact speakers like you find in an iPhone, for example. However, the majority of the games you're likely to play on this device don't use bass-heavy sounds anyway, so even though the sound is very tinny, it works well enough with the source material. And I do think, in that way, that adds to the authenticity of the device. So what are the limitations of this miniature handheld console? Basically, you have a lot of options of things to play, thanks to its quad-core processor. Everything from NES to Sega Genesis to Game Boy Advance is here. It even comes with some PlayStation 1 games loaded on the card, things like Tenchu, Ridge Racer, and Resident Evil. I'm not a huge fan of how some PS1 games control with just a D-pad. For example, I don't like how clunky Resident Evil feels, but to me, having PS1 is just a party bonus. The real fun is in the 8 and 16-bit games here. Games like Pokemon Ruby for GBA, or Super Mario All-Stars on the SNES, or NBA Jam for the Sega Master System, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Marvel vs. Capcom, Donkey Kong Country, Final Fantasy VI, Metroid Zero Mission. The list goes on and on. All of this in your pocket. Speaking of pockets, how does this fit in one? Well, the shoulder buttons are slightly in the way, but it's not bad. Now, to be fair, I'm wearing men's jeans, and men's jeans these days are basically yoga pants with all their stretching, but that works to our advantage here. I wouldn't carry this in the same pocket with my keys. I definitely wouldn't sit on it, but I do consider this a pocketable device. Now, as we all know, some retro games hold up incredibly well to this day, while others, not so much. Anbernic's solution to getting to your favorite games as quickly as possible is in the menu system. First, you can search the entire game library here. Then, once you find the game you want, all you have to do is press the start button, bam, and it's added to your favorites. All your favorite games are then essentially found in this folder on the home screen. Furthermore, your 10 most recently played games can be found here in the History tab, so you can just jump right back into the games you've been playing. I really appreciate these features. I know a lot of people prefer to use Garlic OS over the stock OS on this handheld. I have installed Garlic OS on a separate SD card, but I also know that many people don't want to deal with installations and downloads and system tweaks. They just want a device that can play right out of the box. So for this review, that's what I'm showing. I may do a future video on Garlic OS, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future content. Finally, you might be thinking, Bo, I already have a Nintendo Switch or a Steam Deck. Why would I want or need this? That's a great question. I have a Switch and sometimes I play it portably, but this is different. When it comes to playing retro games, the Joy-Cons just don't get it, and there's something about this that just feels right. What could that be? What could that be? Oh, the D-Pad! For all our technological advancements over the last few decades, why does it feel like no one can replicate the feel of the NES and SNES D-Pad? Can I get a witness? Or at least an explanation? The good news here is that Anbernic has done a better job than most game companies. In fact, I'm in love with the way this D-Pad feels. It may not pass the Contra test perfectly, but it gets pretty close, and in my opinion, it goes way beyond what the price point would suggest they could accomplish. Speaking of price, you can purchase this directly from Anbernic for $56 plus shipping, or from Amazon with free Prime shipping for $80. I have links in the description if you want to check it out. I do get a very, very tiny cut if you use those links at no extra cost to you, so I appreciate you using those to help support the channel. What do you think of the Anbernic RG35XX? Do you have one? Do you think it's priced appropriately? Do you still love playing the games from your childhood? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this content helpful, please consider subscribing to encourage me to keep going on this YouTube journey. And here's a dad joke for you. What do people in video games have in common? Everyone always argues over which generation was the best. Stay kind and encouraging out there, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip.